Welcome, everyone, to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, tax diversification in retirement with financial planner Jerry Guttman. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I am really good, and I love to talk about saving money in retirement. The boomers now, $10,000 a day retiring. We're throwing money away because we are not tax diversified. We won't manage our taxes. We're just letting it roll, and I'm seeing serious, and I'm talking serious money here.
Serious money.
10, 15% out the door every month because we just won't sit down with a person like you. You're one of the few advisors that take a holistic approach. And that holistic approach has to include diversification. So let's walk through it, and even a little bit under the new code. Remember, the new code, if you're 65, the new deduction is $24,000, and the senior additional deduction is $2,500. You're at the first $26,500. You could actually match your qualified plan income against it and pay nothing for it.
Yeah, Steve, but the really interesting thing I found over the years is that most people just don't get it. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the importance of managing what you have. They're more concerned. They let the tax tail wag the dog. Mm-hmm. Instead of managing what comes in and where it's going and how to control it, they're worried about buying a particular mutual fund or an index fund and giving too much to a financial advisor. And they should. They should control. They should watch. They should be cognizant to where their dollars are. Mm-hmm. But what they're not doing is they're not planning ahead in advance of where they're going. If today on our phones, on our cell phones, we have GPS. Mm-hmm. Before we used to go to AAA for a triptych, and we would take our time and we'd plan our trip. Today, people just shoot into retirement a year before they think about it. I tell people that they need to be aware 5 to 8 years prior to their retirement, they need to plan their retirement. I would say you need to be farther than that because there's things you can do today that protect the bottom line, which makes a huge difference because, honestly, Steve, we're going to talk about a few topics today. People are living a lot longer. If somebody passes in their 80s, you say, wow, they died early. They died young. People are dying in their 90s. You have to have control. If you don't have control, forget it.
Now, you talk a lot to CPAs, enrolled agents of the IRS, accountants, tax accountants, some even tax attorneys. And one thing I've heard you talk about many times is you really want to talk about things that are proactive in retirement. And that fiduciary community that I just described is really, this is kind of new to them.
It's very new to them. You're absolutely right. And that's not a knock, but when they go to CE class to take their training every year, it is what's hot, what's going on to satisfy what's necessary for the state, for the federal government, for their CE work. We don't do, as financial advisors, we don't do enough to teach and work with our professionals to make them better, to work as a team for the client. I believe we owe more to the client to teach them what choices there are out there.
Well, now, one of the choices that almost all consumers understand is, when I get to retirement, I'm going to have probably qualified plans. I might have IRAs, I might have a 401k, and maybe some minority of the population has a defined benefit plan, right? Some pension out there. Probably not, though. But after that, people say, well, okay, Steve, tax diversification, that's taxable. What about tax deferred? What about tax free? What do I got? And why is this so important to have that kind of flexibility and diversity during retirement?
Well, it's interesting you say that because when I get clients that come in or see me at a seminar, and because I do quite a few seminars every year, and I look at their statements, never do they have municipal bonds. Never do they have investments, or rarely, do they have investments that don't affect their Social Security, that don't affect all the income that they're bringing in. If taxed properly, if planned properly, your taxes are lower all the way across. If you look at line 22, 23 on your tax form, the front page, Social Security puts in the total amount and then it extends it to the right. Whether your Social Security is taxed at 50% or 85%, it becomes a huge number. And most people today are hoping to put off waiting till they're age 70 because Social Security, there's a wonderful benefit in waiting. Most people don't know that. I encourage people to go sit with Social Security. I wouldn't suggest I regularly tell people, don't go to a Social Security seminar. Go sit with Social Security. Let them tell you the story and give you facts that you can understand and take home. Most of it goes right over most people's heads, Steve. You know that. You talk to people regularly.
I'm looking at people want more out of their money. There's no doubt about it. And at retirement, a lot of people, hey, we need every dime we can get to pocket. We need to pocket it all. When I'm looking at tax diversity and the ability, there are things that I can use. I've heard you talk about Roth IRAs before. I've heard you talk about HSA plans. I've heard you talk about cash value life insurance and even reverse mortgage under the Heckam laws.
Always.
You integrate all 4 of those because they don't have any impact on Social Security, and none of those 4 are any ERISA products, so there's no qualified plan. Why is this such an important thing when I'm in retirement?
Well, it's really interesting. Over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe more than that, the Department of Labor has really been going all guns against retirement plans, going against the brokers, the Merrill Lynches of the world, the JP Morgans. And today, most of those institutions won't even manage an IRA and won't even manage those types of registrations any longer. And that really puts a lot of people in harm's way because there's nobody out there to fight their fight for them and help them and give them direction. The tools you mentioned all are clean, simple, understandable ways of generating income to you where every penny of it comes to your bottom line and it doesn't affect any of your AMT, your Social Security. All of those tools are wonderful tools that most financial advisors forget.
I find it amazing. I just saw a major article. I won't say the name of the company, but they're a major player. And they said the number 1 cost in retirement is long-term care. And I know it's a big cost, and I'm not going to say it isn't. But I have looked at taxation from the day that you retire to the day that your second person in your marriage dies, probably mom. When that person dies, you will have paid more in taxes during your retirement than you'll ever pay in a long-term care cost facility. I don't think people understand that their first number 1 nut that they have to pay for is state and federal taxes.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable that people just forget what it is. They don't know what their actual... They look at what they make. They look at their... Well, Steve, let's be fair. The average family today, it doesn't matter the age. They go to work. They work hard. They may not carry a pail to work anymore as they once did and get the pension. By the time they get home, they're tired. It's been a long day. By the time they finally stop and relax, the last thing they want to talk about is numbers. They spend more time relaxing in the backyard, I think, than they do ever planning a vacation or even their retirement anymore. Because today, people are looking for a little bit of a break. They talk about the tax changes that just came down the pike. I don't think people really understand, as you mentioned earlier, the wonderful opportunity that's out there because of some tax break. It doesn't have to be a large tax break. It's something. If we take a little bit of something all along the way, and we take advantage of it, and we learn how to benefit from it, we win. But if you just sort of put blinders on and avoid it, and don't read some interesting, good articles on financial well-being, you're never going to win.
Well, Jerry, in your practice, you really hone in on this issue of net spendable income. And it's all dedicated, and actually the result of it is because you're doing tax management, tax diversification, during retirement. And I like your setup. You said, I might be 8-10 years out before I even retire, and I'm starting to move money around in preparation for distributions when I do retire.
You have to. Why not buy dividend-paying stocks? They pay lower, right? They pay lower taxes than you, right? Because it depends on the type of, whether it's an ordinary dividend or a qualified dividend. And most people don't understand the differences in that they even exist. But moving things into tax-favored vehicles benefits the client significantly. And they need to take advantage of that. They need to learn. They need to see what the choices are.
Jerry, as we close it out, if you had to do it all over again, would you be in ERISA products at all?
No.
Wow. Think about that.
Because they don't make any sense. Because that's what our parents did. That's what our employers tell us to do. I would say if you're going to be in an ERISA product, ERISA is a pre-tax corporate sponsored plan normally, right? At least do the Roth. At least participate in something where they're not telling you that you must take income at age 70 and a half. What they don't tell you, Steve, is that if you don't take your income, the penalty is a 50% penalty on what you were supposed to take. People they don't know that. Forget the fine print. It's not even printed.
Right.
It's in the code. And people never get that when they get their support from opening an account.
It's an amazing thing. In the seminars that I do, half the room, usually 65 and older, don't realize that if they don't take the proper amount out at 70 and a half, they're paying taxes on it. Well, I want to thank you, Jerry, for being on our show today and talking about tax diversification and retirement. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas you've heard on the show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, and in Jerry's case, financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.